Hello everyone, welcome back to level 1 of NLG. This is level 1 day 2. So just checking the number of people here. Okay, it's looking good. And I'm just go ahead and check the audio. Okay, I think that everyone can hear me nice and clear. So this is level 1 day 2, and of course you're supposed to complete it day 1 yesterday. And so if you're here for level 1, you've completed yesterday's class, that's excellent. So today we'll talk about very similar topics, but we're going to give you more examples and we'll talk a little bit deeper into it. And of course, today we will have the energy activation from Mr. Lee. So that's really exciting. So stay throughout the class today so that you can receive the energy activation as well as the discussions and explanation for our class today. Okay. I'd like to go ahead and introduce our founder, Mr. Lee. So Mr. Lee, do you want to say hello to everyone? All right, so we can hear you nice and clear.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to NLZ Day 2 for Level 1. In today's class, we will continue to talk about important factors that help you build a good foundation for your NLZ practice. Just like yesterday, I will activate you for a Level 1 energy frequency. And before we start, I would like to transmit healing energy to everyone. Anything else? So please ask Isabella. Isabella, now your turn.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lee. So before we start, of course, we'll receive healing energy from Mr. Lee. And the ways in which that you will do that, as I explained yesterday, so you will look at Mr. Lee's forehead as usual, and you would be very good at this if you have been receiving healing energy from him on a daily basis. So he will have his eyes closed, but you will have your eyes open, everyone, so that you can look at his forehead. You visualize energy going from his forehead into yours, and then just let that energy absorb throughout your body. Okay, and I will set my timer to 3 minutes and 30 seconds, Mr. Lee. So whenever you're ready. And this energy, everyone can receive it, regardless of your class level, because it's just healing energy to start our class off. Okay, so Mr. Lee, whenever you're ready, I'll have my
Okay,
time.
I'm ready. So everyone ready?
Yes.
Yeah, we begin now. Okay, back to you, Isabella.
Thank you, Mr. Lei, for transmitting healing energy to everyone to get to get our class start off. Okay, so just a reminder for everyone that level one consists of 2 sessions. So you're supposed to participate in yesterday's session and then today's session as well, to get the full energy activation. So there will be two, one yesterday and one today. Yesterday we have the brain cell activation, and today we'll have the stem cells activation. So they're very different, and they're really necessary for this foundation level. And also, just to recap a little bit, is that yesterday we talked about the 5 forms of love. We talked about the +1 -1 frequency. We talk about the 3 challenges for humanity and so much more. Now, today we will start this class off with some more information and discussions from Mr. Lei about the 5 forms of love. So, Mr. Lei, whenever you're ready. Okay, so with the 5 forms of love, today Mr. Lei will share with you a little bit more about that topic. So Mr. Lei, could you please elaborate on
Yeah.
the 5 forms of love for our participants? Thank
All
you.
right. So, 5 forms of love is very important for not for only the people in NOZ, but for all people in the world, for all mankind. If that frequency, it would help us to smarter, healthier, and wealthier. But in this level, we will explain to you step by step from the beginning for level 1 and level 2 and go higher. All right. Yesterday, we already talked about this, but I would like to emphasize how important this is. At level 1, we are work for self-love and love for family. They are simple, very simple, right? But we have to be careful. Yes, very important for us, but we often take them for granted. If you want to be successful with NLZ, you need to understand that love and morality are the key to NLZ. In this world, we are very busy looking for happiness and prosperity, but in the world of energy, we need to go back to ourselves, true nature. We need to know what to do, know to behave, how to treat ourselves and other people. We need to learn about love and morality. Our practice of love and morality impact to our energy credit, health, youngfulness, longevity, and I will share more with you about the topic in other classes. Energy teacher teach us how to love and how to show us how to love can connect to this energy. Love is the requirement we need to meet. It helps us build discipline in how we live for our life. Everyone in this class, do we believe that you understand love? How much love have you shown? Do you know what else more mean? Do you love your family? How do you treat your family? If you don't understand self-love and love your family, if you expression it love, it limit, you will not connect with this energy. When we understand and start with the 2 forms of love in this level 1, we want then connect to energy. Our wisdom will be increased. Our brain will be upgraded. With energy guidance, we can make this world a better place. We understand love, how to treat people with love, how to not hurt other people. So, love is a discipline that keeps our mind clear and positive. Self-love is not selfish. Remember that. Self-love doesn't mean you keep everything for yourself. Self-love is when you know what to do to connect to this energy, no matter how. Or the people treat you, no matter what's happening around you. You know how to be calm and loving at this, at how you keep your energy frequency. You understand why it is important to keep your frequency and energy connection. It means you interest to improve yourself as a person that self-love. By being calm and loving, you are having the cell in your body connect with energy. That's self-love. You need to learn how to love your family first, then expand it to bigger community. You have to know that. And you have to follow the guideline, the energy guideline, to get a connection with the frequency of intelligence. Now back to Isabella.
Thank you, Mr. Lei, for that great explanation and overview of the five forms of love, and particularly the first two forms which we are discussing, which are self-love and love for family. So I'd just like to add a little bit more in terms of an explanation or an example that we see in our everyday life. So oftentimes, let's say, and this is something that often occur in our daily life, and every one of us have experienced it one way or another. Is that, for example, sometimes you encounter a situation where someone can be really mean to you, and you might reason that because the person is being mean to me, and the person starts this argument or this fight first, so it is then justified for me to come in and respond to that situation in a way that as equally as negative, even though we don't call it, we don't consider it as negative. But really, when you have a third party who's not involved in that situation, looking at the whole problem, and they could be like, well, okay, so person A clearly started first, but then person B, the things that they do, when they look deeper, into the meaning of these behaviors, it's not reasonable. Okay, so not because one person starts something first that you then have the rights, or you then feel that it's justified for you to add to that stress, to add to that problem. So when we talk about self-love, and the reason why Mr. Lee often emphasizes this so much, even when we get to a high class level, like level 4 and level 5, he still talks about this extensively, is because oftentimes we're trying to reason and we're trying to explain why we do what we do. But there's this really simple equation when it comes to dealing with everything and everyone, and that is you use love and morality, and starting off with self-love. So when you're in a situation where you can feel that stress starts to build up, and in your mind, if you think, okay, I don't like this situation, it makes me very uncomfortable, but what can I do to show self-love? And in this situation, it is to keep my frequency, it is to keep my energy, and that's what matters. And that's what self-love truly looks like. It is not to come in and then say, well, because this person does this, so I now feel that is reasonable for me to do something to perhaps get back at that person, or to take revenge, or to be harsh, right? Because you might do that But then, and this is a learning process here, because you could do that in first place, but then when you reflect on that, how do you feel? How do you feel? And how could you do that differently if you find yourself in that situation again? So that's a learning progress. And when you do make that progress, when you do learn, then you'll find that is actually it will get easier and easier every time that you encounter a stressful situation, or maybe people that you don't like, and you'll be able to exercise self-love a lot better. And so that's why these two forms of love are so, so important to NLG, particularly at this foundation level, for you to understand. Okay, and that is completely different from being selfish. So there's a need to distinguish that, and there's a need to understand why this self-love is so important. Okay, now we will move on to a slightly, well, really relevant topic that we've already talked about yesterday. We just like to emphasize on that as well, which is the +1 -1 frequency. So basically, when you understand about love and morality, and you have that in mind in basically everything that you do, regardless of the situation that's happening around you, regardless of the environment that you're living in, basically you're more likely to put yourself in the +1 -1 frequency. Now, I actually explained that yesterday, is that this frequency derived from the practice of love and morality. And only when you understand love and morality in the most genuine way, that you'll be able to minimize that fluctuation in the frequency of your energy. So when we're happy, right, and when we're positive, of course, our mind now and our body's also in that stage as well. But when we're upset or sad, then oftentimes we feel unmotivated, and therefore we start to, have thoughts, and that triggers behaviors that are of the same frequency. So the +1 -1 frequency is about being very determined and knowledgeable about the things that you understand that you need to do. And more importantly, why is it that I have, or I should be loving, and that I should show my moral values in the ways that I do things? Why is it that I should maintain myself in a positive and joyful presence? So when we're happy, when we're positive, not overly happy, that is, but in a very calm, balanced manner, then what we're doing is that we create this attraction force, this energy. It attracts similar energy. And for that, when you encounter a situation that you feel very stressful, you'll be able to neutralize it. And this attraction of energy, it's not something that come naturally. So you don't just sit there and wait for it to come to you. Oftentimes, we do have to put in the effort. And that's why we need to go back to the nature of our self as a species, which is love and morality. We're very much capable of loving. So it requires a lot of control and self-regulation, of course. It's like when you buy a phone, but then you don't have any signal and you don't have any Wi-Fi, then of course, in this day and age, there's not a lot of things that you can do with it. But if you purchase a phone and you understand how to use it, you learn how to use it, then that's very much similar to the brain and what we know. Okay, so we have the brain, it's part of us, but how are we going to use that? That's a very different thing. And oftentimes we do take it for granted. We don't really understand just yet the energy aspect of the brain, how this energy work with the brain. Oftentimes we look at the more physical part of it, the more biological aspects of it. But from an energy perspective, and Mr. Lei will guide you through this as we get to a high class level, and it's really interesting. And the things that we do here is based on our experience and the evidence that we've seen, according to what we understand, what we can feel with this energy, and the things that we're then able to do, the projects, the ideas, things that, basically from when they're only thoughts and ideas, all the way until they become very visible projects that benefits a lot of people. So that's what we're looking at. And of course, we'll welcome anyone from any fields. If you study a certain fields and you want to come in and you want to learn about NLG and try to understand it from perhaps a more scientific perspective, or a field that you've been working on, then you're very much welcome to do so. But of course, there's so much more to the brain, and particularly this frequency, that of course, as Mr. Lee often said, that we cannot cheat when it comes to regulating ourselves into this frequency. Okay, and that's why that's the key to NLG. There's no way around it. If you're genuine about this, then you will get the results that you expect. But if you're not genuine about this, even if you tell other people that I've tried really hard, you will have a challenging time, to actually achieve this. Okay, and then I'll just mention briefly, just a little reminder for everyone about the chicken and the egg, which is the importance of practice on a daily basis and practice it correctly. So with the techniques, with the practice duration, of course, as I've said, we standardize that. Mr. Lay put out the formulas for us, and many of us have practiced the same formulas, and many of us experience the transformations that we're looking for. Now, there are cases with participants where they believe that they understand a formula, but then at the end of the day, it turns out that they don't. So that's why we always encourage questions. Okay, ask us lots and lots and lots of questions to see if you truly understand these formulas before you practice them. And in order to implement this method, of course, we'd like to invite you to discover the principles of stimulating the brain. I know that scientists and researchers, people who have done the work in this field, have explored this or trying to explore this using really advanced technology, and perhaps things that we don't even know about. But in order for us to create that connection with this frequency, the things that perhaps we often, as I've said, take for granted, and we have not harnessed the full power of this aspect of ourselves, is actually the brain's potential. So, of course, that's what we're looking to do here, and you will see that in the things that we can do when we connect ourselves to this energy. And so basically we use our mind, we use our thoughts, and that control of energy frequency and energy connection, not necessarily in a fancy way, but instead we're controlling it with our level of love and morality. Okay, we practice love and morality, and that's how we can control for our energy connection. And so each session, it will stimulate the stem cells. Okay, and when we talk about stem cells, we know that to be a really important, very perhaps not well studied yet, because people still trying to find more information about it. But we start to have, quite prominent results finding. But what we're doing here, NLG, is in each of the session that you practice, and you will see as we present you with the formulas later on, is that we'll stimulate our stem cells. Okay, and for each session, it will be only 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you do it correctly, if you truly understand the formulas, you will feel the energy coming in, and then you will see for yourself things that you'll be able to do, and the transformation that you will have for your health. And so the chicken and the eggs examples indicates that you need to meet these requirements. You need to understand, not only having this understanding when you practice, but of course, practice it correctly. Okay, and we emphasize that so many times because a lot of the time people believe that they understand the formulas, but then it turns out that they misunderstand it. So it's always good to ask questions, and it's always good if you experience anything during your practice that you would like to ask us about, then of course it's really useful, not just for you, but of course for people as well, your classmates as well. Okay, so now I'd like to walk you through these very quickly. the benefits of receiving NLG energy. So of course, it will have a great impact on all aspects of life. Now, many of you, when you come into NLG, and the first thing that you experience is health improvements. And then from there, you will feel that improvement of your wisdom energy as well. So that maximizes the brain function and increase intelligence and wisdom. Now, these are the things that we know, right? Because our NLG participants have experienced this. Not everyone will make the same progress, as I've said, and it really depends on your understanding and practice of love and morality, which we cannot stress enough how important that is. But then mostly for, I guess, younger generation, which we really encourage everyone to come in and really give this a go. Because, for example, people from my generation, for example, I came into NLG at the end of 2021, I believe. And I was about 22, 23 at the time. And 21, 22, yeah. And the first thing that I really experience is not necessarily health improvements, very mildly, because I don't necessarily have any severe condition, but the things that really works for me is there's wisdom here. And I see that in the things that I do, being able to think about, to have ideas, to have things basically that I didn't think that I was able to do, and still somehow make my way through it and learn a lot from it. So of course, this is a huge part that I believe particularly the younger generation now really, really need. And it doesn't really matter when I tell you these things. What matters is that you actually come in to experience it. And that's how you would then decide if you want to go with NLG or not, and give it a really good go. Don't just trying it for the sake of trying it, but give it a really good go, and then you will see, because at the end of the day, it benefits you. Okay, you're not doing it to impress anyone or anything like that. It's about you and your journey. And of course, then it relates to our career, maximize the effectiveness of our performance at work to develop the highest career prospect. And of course, then it would enable happiness, feel harmonized in all relationship in our life. And when it gets to the deeper meaning of our life, then that would be to bring positive energy into the next life journey. Okay. Now, the cosmic divide, as we heard from Mr. Lee yesterday. So the cosmic divide, this is our logo here, and within this, it contains the code to unlock new knowledge to access the infinite energy source of the universe. Mr. Lee, around level 3, would explain to you how he was able to decode this and the step-by-step in his journey to actually unlock, as well as to add in different energy frequency. And that's why our formulas become very effective. That's why the energy source that we're now using is very effective for everyone. And this source of energy supports the development of humanity for an unlimited period and is enough for all living things on Earth to flourish. And you will see how that turns out, because not only that we're able to transmit energy to ourselves, but also to plants and animals. And we see that in agricultural projects, as well as many, many other projects that we're doing. So when you receive this energy, what it does is that for the nervous system, it will transmit the energy source to the nervous system and the entire body instantly. And you will see that in our formula, the way that we direct energy. It will affect 100% of the stem cells in our body to help our body develop. And it will support physical health, intelligence, and support the superior evolution of consciousness. And then for stem cells, of course, you can read about this, but basically this is something that we're interested in working with, stem cells as well as our brain. to really harness the powers of these two factors in our physical body, but from an energy perspective, which is really, really interesting. And then if we talk about the universe, right? And you can certainly look at this in your own time as well. But talking about the similarity between the universe and the brain, you will notice some similarity from an energy perspective. And each and every one of us is very much like a mini universe. Our brain is packed with neurons, right? While the universe is packed with galaxies and so many things out there that we're yet to know. Now, oftentimes we think about our body as a single matter, that we are just one person and that we're oftentimes all by ourselves. But then we really take for granted the cells, trillions and trillions of cells that's living inside our bodies that process this energy and process what's going on in our body, helping us with so many different tasks. And it's, of course, they have their own energy, they have their own wisdom in their own way, and yet they're still able to work harmoniously with each other. Okay, they work as a system. So really, we're not just one person, but we're an entire system. We're an entire network. And so it is in our nature that we have that ability to then work and to connect. So those of you who have not looked into this and may not understand these concepts from an energy perspective, this can be quite new for you. But then when we're stepping into this field that we like to call super science or super spirituality, not from a religious point of view, as I mentioned yesterday, and that's something that you need to distinguish very, very clearly. Okay, every time that we talk about the brain, every time that we talk about energy, every time that we mention any of these things, which you're going to have to prepare yourself if you go into the high class level. These things, we talk about it from an energy perspective. In other words, wisdom, okay? Wisdom, information. So it's not to do with religion or politics. So it's really, really important that you understand this and not to just judge it or interpret it in a certain way. Give yourself time to really come in and experience this. And then you know that it covers a lot more than the things that you believe that you know beforehand. Okay, so of course, talking about the universe and the brain now, we understand that it is in our nature to love and to care for an entire network of cells, for an entire community of cells. And so that's why self-love is so important. And that goes back to the need to keep ourselves in a really calm, loving state for us to connect with this energy to support the cells in our body. And so that's why it's important. Okay, when you say that you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of an entire network of cells. And that's a lot. That's a lot. So that's why it's so essential for the practice of NLG that you understand that. Okay. All right, so how do we go for time? I think that we're doing pretty well. Now, before Mr. Lei go ahead and activate everyone for the energy frequency of stem cell stimulation, I would like to explain to you the formulas first, okay? And then we'll come back to Mr. Lei. So now we're just going to talk about the formulas so that you understand and we can get that done and dusted so that later on we can practice it together. So first of all, remember that I said yesterday about the brain cell activation. We will no longer practice this, everyone. Okay, this was yesterday's homework. Okay, but from today on, we'll work on other formulas. So please do not practice this one anymore. And instead, we'll move on to this one, This is the stem cell stimulation frequency, and as the name suggests, this is a great deal, okay? So it's not a simple task to stimulate stem cells, and yet we have the ability to do that after Mr. Lay activate us with the relevant energy frequency, and of course, particularly when you're able to practice love and morality in the way that we instruct you to do so. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see here we divide it up for you. First of all, when you come into a formula like this, we encourage you to read the note. Okay, please read the note because it's set here to keep your eyes open and direct energy accordingly. Okay, and really keep your eyes open. Please don't close your eyes, particularly at this foundation level. There's reasons as to why we should not do that. And as you get to a high class level, when you master the skills, Mr. Lay will explain to you why it's so necessary, because there's a few different reasons, okay? And why it's necessary to keep your eyes open. But at this foundation level, as you continue to build up your knowledge as well as your skills, when you come into NOG, then we just encourage you to simply keep your eyes open when you practice. All right. Duration, you can see here, it is according to your age. So 8 to 12 years old, children, that will be 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 13 to 18 years old, that will be 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And above 18 years old, that will be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. This is according to your age, because this formula, you need to practice it for yourself. You do not practice this formula for other people, okay? You cannot stimulate other people's stem cells using this formula. You can only do it for yourself. So step 1, receive cosmic devitalized new era NOG level 1 frequency band stem cell stimulation frequency. Remember I said yesterday that all of these steps here, you will recite them silently in your head. You don't have to say them out loud. You don't have to mumble. You don't have to whisper. You just recite them silently in your head. Okay, so think about this step 1 as like a request for you to understand exactly what it is that you're doing, as well as the cells in your body to know what it is that they're doing. So step 2, receive energy into the brain. That means visualize energy from outer space entering the brain. Receive first time, receive second time, receive third time. Remember that you need to have 3 to 5 seconds of delay in between the time that you receive energy. Step 3, send energy from the brain into the ERC. Now the ERC is of course the energy reception center. It's right here. It's at the back of your neck. Okay, the back of your neck. Send first time, then second time, send third time. Of course, with a delay of 3 to 5 seconds in between each time you send energy. And then step 4, continuously sending energy. Pay attention to this verb. Continuously sending energy from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx, so all the way to your tailbones. Continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Now, by the time you get to step 4, of course, you stay at step 4. You do not go back to the previous steps. You stay at step 4 and you continuously sending energy. That's what you're doing, okay? It's really important. Please don't just sit there for the remaining time. Actually sending it, okay? When it's said to send energy from the ERC down the entire spine into the coccyx, that's what you would do continuously, all the way until your alarm rings. So basically, once you start your timer, you would then begin from step 1, and then all the way to step 4, and then you stay at step 4 for the remaining time. Okay, so I think that has been pretty clear. And by the way, guys, you don't need to repeat reciting step 4 over and over again. You recite it once, that's fine. And then what you would do is you would keep directing energy according to the instruction here. Okay, all right. Next one, this is self-healing. As the name suggests, it is to give healing support to yourself. Okay, once again, this is not for other people. please read the notes here as well as the practice duration according to your age. Step 1, receive Cosmic Divine Light New Era NOG Level 1 frequency band, self-healing frequency. Step 2, receive energy into the brain, so that is from outer space, entering the brain. Receive first time, receive second time, receive third time, 3 to 5 seconds of delay in between. Okay, so you will certainly not go as fast as I'm reading it now because I'm reading it just to go through these formula with you right now. But when you practice it, of course, you have to have a delay of 3 to 5 seconds in between. Step 3, send energy from the brain into the ERC. Okay, at the back of your neck here, this is this spot here. Send first time, send second time, and send third time, 3 to 5 seconds of delay in between. Step 4, continuously direct energy into the brain and transmit it into the ERC. So it should go like that and stop here at the ERC. Let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. Now, for some people, when they practice self-healing, and of course they do it as instructed, is that they transmit the energy to the ERC, but then what they feel is that sometimes they feel warmth kind of spreading, absorbing and then spreading throughout their arms or maybe their legs or their entire body. That's fine. Okay, that's fine. Don't stress about it. Just continue to direct energy according to the instruction here. Okay, and then let it spread however it wishes. You should not stress too much about that. Okay, so this is self-healing, which is very straightforward. And then this is direct healing, everyone. Now, direct healing, this is the formula that you can use on other people. Now, at level 1, the people really that you can assist are only people in your family. Okay, so do keep that in mind. So step 1, receive Cosmic Divine Light New Era NOG Level 1 frequency band, direct healing frequency. So this is the name here of the frequency. Step 2, receive energy into the brain of the transmitter. So basically you're transmitting energy to someone else that makes you the transmitter. So step 2 is when you receive energy into your brain first. Receive first time, receive second time, receive third time, of course with a delay in between. Step 3, send energy from the brain of the transmitter, so that's your brain, into the recipient's ERC. Okay, so into the persons that you're transmitting energy to their ERC. Send first time, send second time, and send third time with a delay in between. And then step 4, the transmitter continuously transmit energy from the brain of the transmitter, so that is from your brain, into the recipient's ERC. Let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. So step 4 here, this is an ongoing process one again. Okay, so by the time you get to step 4, you will continuously transmit energy. Okay, so don't just sit there and do nothing. Transmit energy. Okay, by the time you get to step 4. Now you will see here the practice duration according to age, and this is the recipient's age, not your age. Okay, so it's very important to distinguish that. It is according to the recipient's age. So for if you transmit energy to 0 to 3 years old children or child, that would be 30 seconds to 1 minute. 4 to 7 years old, that would be 1 minute and 30 seconds. 8 to 12 years old is 2 minutes and 30 seconds. 13 to 18 years old, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you transmit energy to someone who is above 18 years old, that will be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, level 1 participants are not yet ready to support people with neurological diseases, so please keep that in mind. That's why I said it's always so important to review the notes, okay? And this is direct healing, which means you need to be there, physically be there with the recipient, okay? So what you will do is you're required to put your two hands on the recipient's ERC. So imagine that this is the recipient, okay, and this is the ERC, it's right here. And this is how you will place your hand. So visualize that this is your hand here, okay? So for this formula, and particularly at this level of level 1, only support family members, so your parents, your grandparents, in-laws, etc. Before supporting another person with serious illnesses, the transmitter must feel warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds during the practice of stem cell stimulation formula. So let's say you have been practicing stem cell stimulation formula for a while, right? And every day when you practice that formula, you feel warmth. But if you're trying to test yourself, you practice it, and if you feel warmth for 3 days consecutively, then you know that, okay, so I'm ready to, do something more other than supporting myself. I can now give healing support to my family members if they need. Okay, so that's the way to do it. It's not to practice the stem cell stimulation beforehand and then do this to help other people, but really while you're practicing these stem cell stimulation every day, keep track of whether you feel that warmth or not. Okay, so if you feel warmth in parts, you know that you still have more that you need to do, perhaps, and most of the time really, it's to do with your practice of love and morality. And on the other hand, if you feel warmth every time that you practice is very consistent, then you know that you can choose to move on to other formulas as well, start to address other formulas. Okay, so while you perform this formula, the transmitter and the recipient keep their eyes open and maintain a state of mindfulness. The recipient visualizes the ailing areas. If there's many, then just focus on the ERC and the entire spine. So that's something that you can tell the recipient, okay, that they can visualize where it is hurting. And if there's many places on their body that's hurting, then they could just focus on their own ERC. So you're going to need to point out to them where the ERC is, which is right here. And of course, to focus on the entire spine. Okay, so I hope that has been very clear for you. Now, some tips for you is that you can see here, if you transmit energy to a child, to a baby, from 0 to 3 years old, you can see here that the practice duration is very short. It's only 30 seconds to 1 minute. So there's an exception with this particular age group, is that you can start step 1 and then step 2 without your timer. And then by the time you get to step 3, that's when you will start your timer. So let's say you only transmit energy to the child for 30 seconds. Okay, so then you start step 1 and then step 2, and then you put on 30 seconds on your phone or your timer or something like that. And then you press start, and that's when you will begin from step 3. Okay, now make sure that you still start from step 1 and 2. You need to cover every step here, but it's just that you don't need the timer for step 1 and 2 if you're transmitting energy to a baby from 0 to 3 years old, because the practice duration it's just way too short. And for other age group from 4 years old and above, you do need to start the timer first, and then you begin from step 1. Another tip is when you place your hand on the person's ERC, you don't apply too much pressure, okay? Or else your arm is going to feel a little bit sore afterwards because you have to place it in that particular posture. And also maintain a comfortable distance between you and the recipient. Sit at maybe similar height or something like that, so that your arm's not sore afterwards. It's not necessarily to do with energy or anything like that. It's just that when you position your arms at a particular height, that is a little bit awkward or something like that, then afterwards arms may be a little bit sore because you're going to place your hands there for like 5 minutes and 30 seconds in the case where you transmit energy to someone who's above 18 years old. So just keep that in mind, okay? And of course, you need to focus for the entire duration of the practice. Now, if your timer is on, if you're trying to transmit energy, but then your mind start to wander off somewhere, then of course it won't be effective. So just keep that in mind. Some notes here for you. So on a daily basis, you should practice 2 formulas for yourself. First one is a stem cell stimulation, which I showed you earlier on, and then self-healing. You can practice these 2 formulas 1 or 2 hours apart, or you can do it continuously, okay? One session after the other. Please note that level 1 students who have received 2 activations, so the brain cells, the one from yesterday, and then stem cells, which we are about to receive it from Mr. Lei in about 5 minutes time. Then you can practice the level 1 formulas, everyone, only when you receive both of those activation. If you miss out on yesterday's activation, you're going to wait for the next level 1, okay? So that you can complete it again, complete it fully, okay? And direct healing formula can be used to support family members as needed. Not necessarily when they're sick or something. If they're sick, of course, you can reach out to help them. But even on a daily basis, if you, let's say if you have children and you want to transmit energy to them so that it helps them to maintain a healthy condition and to help with their wisdom energy as well, for them to do well, in whatever it is that they're doing, then you can certainly reach out to support them. And particularly with kids, oftentimes they are very active. So it might be a little bit challenging for some children to just sit down with you, even just to and sit down and stay still for like a minute or two. So what you can do for your children, if you want to, is that you can transmit energy to them when they're asleep. Okay. And you can be quite flexible with it as well. And if you have any question about that, or question that are very specific, then certainly reach out to us on Telegram. Now, when practice, maintain self-awareness for 5 minutes and 30 seconds and relax your mind. If you're distracted for more than 30 seconds, please don't count that practice. Just reset the timer and start again. Now, when we say distracted, what we mean is that when you start to think about other things rather than actually focusing on directing energy, because we're directing energy with our thoughts, with our flows of thoughts, with our mind and our brain. So if your mind is occupied by other thoughts that's not relevant to the practice, please just restart it, okay? Because oftentimes we lose track of time when we start to think about something else. So just be mindful of that. When you practice, choose a quiet place to do so. Keep your eyes open the entire time, but of course you can blink, certainly. You can find a focus point or an object to look at if you need to use that to focus, and avoid using fan or AC to feel that warmth during the practice. And practice the formulas as instructed correctly and daily. You need to maintain your moral ethics, your 5 forms of love, and a state of +1 - 1 to achieve the desired outcomes. Now, when you practice the stem cell stimulation formula and all of these notes, I will post it on our Telegram. Okay, so there's no need to take photos or anything like that. Just go onto our Telegram and you'll find these. When you practice these formula for the first time, that is the stem cell stimulation, and if the entire spine feel warmth continuously for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, then you only need to practice it once a day. But then in contrast, if you practice it for the first time, but the entire spine does not feel warm, then you can practice for a second time and a third time. So up to 3 times a day in a row, or maybe 1 or 2 hours apart. Now, sometimes people feel warmth at the spine, but it's not entirely. It's just in parts, maybe like 1/3 of it is warm. That still doesn't count, okay? And when you practice the self-healing formula, you should practice self-healing at least 6 hours before bed, because late practice can lead to excess energy, causing difficulty sleeping. And if you do find yourself in that situation where you find it difficult to sleep because you accidentally practice very close to your bedtime, some people don't experience any sleep difficulty at all, even when they practice very close to the bedtime, but some people do. And for those of you who have that issue, remember the breathing techniques that I told you about from yesterday. So you breathe in through your nose for 3 seconds, and you breathe out through your mouth for 6 seconds. So you do short inhale and long exhale 3 times. And then you wait for 5 minutes. And if you still can't fall asleep, you do another session, okay, of the breathing techniques. So usually people's being able to sleep after like maybe 1 or 2 times of doing that. But just be a little bit mindful that if you do find yourself in that situation, then maybe you need to reschedule your practice timetable. Okay. Healthy or mildly ill people need to practice self-healing once a day. In case of severe disease, practice twice a day. And for support healing on the same person or receiving energy from another person, need to space out from 6 to 8 hours. What this means is that if you plan to practice self-healing and you also plan to receive healing support from Mr. Lei on the daily live stream, or maybe you want to receive healing energy from another energy participant of a high class level, then what you need to do is you need to plan out when you're going to do all of that, because they're all healing frequency. So you need to space it out at least 6 hours, okay? Because it's not really about quantity of when you practice and when you receive healing energy, is about the quality. When you practice, you focus, and of course, on a daily basis, you practice your love and morality. That's how you get the most of the energy that you've been activated for, from the frequency that you've been activated for. And of course, when you receive energy from Mr. Lei as well, okay? The more that you practice love and morality in the correct way, as in the effective way, because sometimes we practice love and morality, but they're not effective. We say that we do this in the name of love, but it's not effective. So that's why with energy, you need to understand the 5 forms of love. We specifically divide it out for you so you understand which forms and what it is about. So when it comes to love and morality, and particularly when you get to high class level, ask Mr. Lee a lot of questions about that. See how it really looks like. Because sometimes we think that we know it, but in reality, we don't. So that's always nice that's why it's always nice to ask your question. Now, in case of emergency, everyone, if you feel fatigue, discomfort, or you want to faint, then you can practice these self-healing formulas right away. There's no need to wait for 6 hours, okay? All right, so I think I've covered everything with the formulas. So, of course, as you go on with the class level, you need to upgrade your love and your moral values, because it's necessary to match your level of love and morality with your energy class level that you'll be activated for. So now I would like to show you this demonstration video before Mr. Lei activate everyone, just so you know how to receive this energy frequency. So basically, Mr. Lei will have his eyes closed, okay? And you will open your eyes so that you can look at him. And then what you would do is you will receive that energy from, well, you visualize energy from his forehead going into your brain 3 times. So this time you have to count, okay? It's slightly different from the activation yesterday. So energy going into your brain 3 times, and then from your brain, it goes down to your entire spine 3 times. And then you keep that energy there at the entire spine. So let's have a look at this video So receive into the brain once, second time, third time, and then down your spine. 1, 2, 3. And then you keep that energy there at the entire spine until I say thumbs up. Okay, we watch that one more time. Into your brain first. 1, 2, 3, and then down your spine. 1, 2, 3, and then you keep it there at the entire spine. Now, of course, when you receive energy into your brain, of course, you look at Mr. Lei, okay? You look at Mr. Lei, you visualize energy from his forehead going into yours. All right, so now, Mr. Lei, I like to invite Mr. Lei to activate everyone for the stem cells activation. Now, this is level 1 stem cells activation, everyone. So if you're here for level 1 and you participate in yesterday's class, then yes, you can receive this one. If you're in level 1 and you're still currently in level 1, you have not proceeded to a high class level, let's say 2, 3, etc., then you can still receive this one, okay? But if you're in level 2, 3, 4, and 5, please skip this. Do not receive this if you're in level 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay? So, Mr. Lei, I would like to invite you now to activate everyone.
Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yes, I set my timer.
Hopefully everyone ready. I will begin now.
Okay, and time's up.
Okay, so Isabella will support more information for the people who will practice, right?
Yes, so now we'll move on to practice the formula together.
All right.
Mr. Lee, would you be
Uh,
able to stay maybe until the end of this class after we practice the formula? So we just go ahead and practice the formula now, and then I like to invite you to come back to conclude level 1. Yep.
okay, okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so let's practice the formula. So I hope that you feel the energy coming in. And if you feel a little tense at your forehead, that's okay. As you keep practicing the formulas, that sensation will just go away after a few days or maybe a week or so, but it's not going to be too uncomfortable for you. Okay, so now I'd like for us to practice this formula together, everyone. This will be the stem cells stimulation formula. So this is what Mr. Lei actually activated this just now.
Okay, Isabella, I got to say goodbye, and you go to continue to help support the people. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your joining us in today's class. I hope you will get wonderful results from learning and practice NLZ. If you have any question, contact us anytime, and we're very happy to help you. I hope you to see you again in level 2. All
Thank
right?
you, Mr. Lee, for spending time with us in level 1 English, and we hope to have you back for level 2 English as well.
And we will see you again. Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lee. All right, so of course he has a very busy schedule. So we just go ahead now and practice this formula together, okay, before we end our class. And let's see if anyone have any questions. But for now, we will practice this formula. I will put my timers on, everyone. So you probably don't need to, unless you have your children joining you, then set a separate timer for them, okay, according to the time, the duration on the screen here. I will read these formula out to you, all right? And basically the things I read out to you are the things that you're supposed to recite in your head silently. And I will follow up with the pace of the formula as well, so that you know exactly how fast, or what is the right pace for you to practice this formula. All right, so I will set my timer to 5 minutes and 30 seconds, as I assume that most people here above 18 years old. So let's practice this stem cell stimulation frequency, everyone, and we'll start now. And I leave the formula on the screen for you as well, so that you can read along in your head. Step 1, receive cosmic divine light, new era NLG, level 1 frequency band. Stem cell stimulation frequency. Step 2, receive energy into the brain. Receive first time. Receive second time. Receive third time. Step 3, send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time. Send second time. Send third time. Step 4, continuously sending energy from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx. Continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Okay, and time's up, everyone. Thank you very much for participating in the practice just now. All right, so I hope that that's a first experience for you when it comes to practicing the stem cells stimulation formula and that you actually feel energy coming in. Now, for some of you, you may feel that energy coming in and you feel a little bit of warmth, but then for others of you, you may not feel that warmth at all. Now, there's two situations that usually happen. The first is that some people feel that warmth quite clearly, okay, and it's very comfortable and it sort of flows throughout your body. And then for those of you who don't feel that warmth, then that is most probably because of your sensor system. Okay, some people's sensor system are not as sensitive, or sometimes they get damaged along the way because of certain reasons that we're yet to know about. But it's mostly to do with your own experiences as well, or maybe the severity of your illness and things like that if you do have an illness. So don't stress too much about that though, because as you continue to practice, you will also work on that warm sensation. Okay, so don't stress too much about that. Now, it's absolutely necessary for us to practice accurately and diligently. And I will probably spend the next 5 or 10 minutes or so to answer some of your question if you have any question. And in the meantime, while we wait for question to come in, I will probably give you a few of the commonly asked questions, if that makes sense. Okay, because most people oftentimes they you know, are a little bit confused about this, and these are really, really basic questions. So some people ask is that when I become upset, right, or when I'm sad, then do I lose my energy connection? Now, the thing is, when you have these really strong emotion, even, you know, we can talk about being angry or sad, but we can even talk about being overly happy, right? Basically, really, really emotional situation. Then, of course, right at that moment, you know that logically speaking, you're not in the +1 -1 frequency, are you? So, of course, you won't receive the maximum potential of this energy, but it doesn't mean that you're disconnected. So, the ways in which that you're disconnected from this method is number one, when you deliberately think or say that you don't want to learn or practice or have anything to do with NLG anymore. So if you have that thoughts in your mind, you get disconnected instantly. And the ways in which you can come in afterwards is that you have to start from level 1. Okay. Now, if you neglect your practice for too long, let's say it has been a couple of months or even a year that you haven't been practicing, we encourage you to it might just be better for you to practice and learn level 1 again to refresh your knowledge about NLG, to get any updates if you need to, and of course to get that energy activation again. Okay, so that's I guess the ways in which that we know how this method works so that you can make the right decision when it comes to your own journey with NLG. All right. And okay, so I haven't seen any question coming in. Let me just see here. Okay, I haven't seen any question from you, so I assume that everyone are okay and that you know exactly what it is that you need to do. Now, something else that I do need to inform everyone is that when you are a level 1 participant and you start to have these formulas, let's say you want to practice self-healing, you want to practice stem cell stimulation formula, you can still receive healing energy from Mr. Lay on a daily basis. That's okay, because it doesn't really matter which class level you're at. Even a level 5 participant can still receive healing energy from Mr. Lei when they need to do so. So with the healing energy from Mr. Lei, it doesn't distinguish between the class levels, and it doesn't, I guess, in a way, exclude any of the class level. The energy that he sends on a daily basis, that includes everyone, regardless of your class level, okay? Now, when you practice, if you feel sleepy, right, which is something that quite a few participants come up and said to us, well, I feel extremely sleepy and the thing is, I don't want to be sleepy, but when I receive the activation in particular, I feel really sleepy. Or when I try to practice on my own, all of a sudden, like, I'm fully awake, but when it comes to practicing the formulas, all of a sudden I'm very sleepy. Fight that urge, okay? First of all, fight that urge because you want to be truly focused when you practice, okay? You don't want to feel sleepy. The second thing is look at your routine. Look at your daily routine just to see if you actually have enough sleep. And also, when you receive activation from Mr. Lei in any of the class, and sometimes we see people doze off, it's not that they want to do that, but it's an indication that the cells in your body is lacking too much energy. So when this energy comes in, it's sort of like you feed them, right? After years and years and years of being starved, you feed them, and this energy comes in, it interacts with the cells in your body. And so your body relaxes, okay? And that puts you into a state where you feel really comfortable that you want to sleep. So that's why, okay? Because a lot of people come up to us saying, I'm so embarrassed, but I fell asleep during the activation, or I feel really, really sleepy, which I didn't feel like that before. And that's because of this interaction of energy. Now, there's nothing to be embarrassed about that, but it's necessary to work on that. And the way that you need to work on that is you practice the formulas. And as you get better and better at it, you get your energy level up, right? Then you won't feel sleepy when you practice, and you won't feel sleepy when you receive the activation. Okay. Now, there are also a few things when you practice the formulas. Some people say that they feel extremely hot when they practice the formula. So maybe at the back of their sorry. So it could be at their entire spine, right? Not at the back, but their entire spine, that they feel extremely hot. Now that should gradually balance, and you might feel just warmth later on, right? You will not feel hot, because when you feel really, really hot, that means that you're lacking in energy. And the cells in your body trying to take in this energy, and it could be that you have a severe condition or a condition that you don't even know about. So that's why you feel really, really hot when you receive this energy. And then as you keep practicing, you feel warmth. Okay, so there's 3 stages to it. So hot, warmth, and when you feel like you have this cooling sensation, it's sort of like having like a cool bath, but it's very comfortable. It's not cold. Okay, it's not cold. It's very different from cold. It's actually really cool and nice. Then you know that you're in a pretty good state. Okay, so it goes from hot, warm, and cool, not cold. If you feel cold, please contact us, because that's a whole different issue there. So try to practice all the way until you feel that cooling, comfortable sensation. Okay, and as I've said, some people feel the warmth, feel the cool, but then other people, they don't feel that, and that's because of the sensor system. So try to work on your practice, trying to work on yourself, and then gradually you will feel all of the things that we have been talking about, and particularly that presence of the energy. Okay. And of course, if you haven't registered for this class, if you have completed it, but you haven't registered, then I highly recommend that you go ahead and register. We posted the link on our Facebook. And make sure to like and follow our Facebook page, as well as to subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that every time we have the daily healing or we have a class, then it will notify you. Okay, it's really, really important. And of course, our Telegram groups. I will go ahead and show you the QR code for our Telegram groups again, in case if you miss out on it. It's in yesterday. Okay, I'll just put that on the screen now. So you can see here, the first one, this is the general notification channel in English. And the middle one here is the channel for level 1 and 2. This is where basically you receive formulas and posts and announcements, but mostly posted by our admin group. And then the third code here, this is the chat group for you, so that you can scan it. And when you're in that chat group, you can actually ask us questions. Okay, so we'll post the formulas as soon as we can after this class completed. And of course, you can always go back to this video on our YouTube channel to listen to all of the lecture content. Okay, but one thing though is when you rewatch a video of a previous class level, remember that the energy activation doesn't work. Okay, when you rewatch a video, energy activation has to happen in real time. So when you're attending a class on a live stream like this, when you see the little red button, right, that indicates that it's a live stream that's happening in real time, then that's when the activation will work, because actually there will be an instructor sitting in front of the screen activating everyone. Whereas if you rewatch a video, the instructor will not sit there then to activate you. So that's something that you need to remember. And also, if you have friends and family who wants to do NLG, you can send them maybe a video for them to maybe understand a little bit more about the structure, the basic content of NLG. But make sure to tell them that when they rewatch a video of a previous class, then the energy activation doesn't work. Okay, just so that they don't come in and they think that it works, and then they receive it thinking that they can then do the that they can then practice the formulas. Okay, because you need to have the energy activation in order for you to practice the formulas. Okay, so you can always go back to this part of the video to scan the QR code if you have not been able to do so, and we highly recommend that you join us on Telegram. We do most of the communications and everything on Telegram, particularly with questions. So it's really, really useful to join us on our Telegram groups. And of course, if you need anything, or if you want to ask anything, and you only have our Facebook, for example, then you can certainly contact us via Facebook as well. But now that we're in class and you completed level 1, we highly recommend that you scan this QR code to participate in our Telegram groups. Okay, so thank you everyone very much for joining us in today's class. We'll post the formulas as soon as this class finish. And of course, I'd like to thank, first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Lei for joining us in today's class, and hopefully we'll be able to invite him to level 2 next week. So level 2, that as well. Level 2 will be next week. I'll show you the schedule for that so that you don't miss out and you can actually make notes in your schedule. So here it is. Okay, so level 2 is this column here. So hopefully we'll be able to invite Mr. Lee to that class as well, so that he can activate everyone for the level 2 frequency. All right, and you can also register on our registration form that we posted on Facebook. And if you have trouble finding that, then just send us in a message on Telegram. All right. All right, so that was the schedule. And so I'd like to thank Mr. Lee for joining us today. Of course, I'd like to thank NLG, okay, and the energy that we're able to harness and utilize for the betterment of humanity. And thank you everyone for joining us in today's class. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to also see you in our future classes. Of course, more specifically, next week's class in level 2. All right, and I'll see you then. Thank you, everyone.